Yo, I'm here again. I've been studying throughout this week, and man, God has given me a word, and I kind of want to share with you guys. I know this is not normal for me, but I just feel like if I have this platform, if I have what I have right now, is because God has allowed me to have it, and He's given me a word that not only has it helped me in my life, but I feel like everyone that is gonna be watching this, everyone goes through certain things. I, including myself, go through certain things. I'm not perfect. I fall. There's moments in my life where certain things, a process, a circumstance, a trouble seem to take longer than what it is. And I've learned throughout this week, throughout this month, that God is the way, man. God, He has a victory waiting for us on the other side. And that's what I named like this whole study session. I wrote down, your victory is on the other side. I want to take you guys to Exodus whenever you guys have time. Exodus 14:13. Basically, the Israelites were enslaved to Egypt, and Jesus sent all these different plagues, and it got to the point where Pharaoh was like, no, let these people go. I don't want them in my land. They can go wherever they want. Exodus 14:5, I kind of skipped through a little bit of it, but this is kind of what got my attention. It says, when it was reported to the king of Egypt that the people had fled, the heart of Pharaoh and his servants was turned against the people, and the king and the servants said, what in the world have we done? For we have released the people of Israel from serving us. Then he prepared his chariots and took his army with him. He took 600 select chariots and all the rest of the chariots of Egypt and officers on all of them. But the Lord hardened the heart of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. He chased after the Israelites. So here we see that Pharaoh had regret for letting the people that were enslaved to their land go. Like, he was like, what have we done? How could we let this possibly happen? So they got to the Red Sea, and the Israelites, they looked behind them and they were like, what's going on? Like they were telling Moses how we should have stayed in the land of slavery, because here you just literally sent us to get killed. And they were terrified when they saw, and it says here, the Israelites cried out to the Lord, and they said to Moses, is it because there are no graves in Egypt that you have taken us away to die in the desert? What in the world have you done to us by bringing us out of Egypt? Isn't this what we told you in Egypt? Leave us alone so that we can serve the Egyptians, because it is better for us to serve the Egyptians than to die in the desert. And then Moses said to the people, do not fear, stand firm and see the salvation of the Lord that He will provide for you today. For the Egyptians that you see today, you will no longer ever see again. The Lord will fight for you, and you can be still. And if we keep reading, we can see that the trip that should have took the Israelites 40 days ended up being 40 years for their disobedience. And we sometimes ask ourselves why different circumstances in our lives seem to take longer than what they should be. But I'm here to ask you, do you want the easy route or do you want the hard route? Because God already knew that Pharaoh would be chasing after them, because He knows everything. So He knows your circumstance. He knows why the process is taking longer than it should be taking. So do you want the easy route or do you want the hard route? Because God already knew that if He had taken them to the direct route that should have taken them at least 2 weeks for them to get to the promised land, He knew that the Egyptians will be waiting for them, waiting to surround them and kill them. So you see, there's certain things in our lives that we shouldn't question God why it's taking long, why it's taking longer than it should be, because He knows the best for us. He knows why you're still fighting for that. He knows it all. So I'm here to tell you, don't question God's timing, man. You see, it got to the point where the Israelites were in the middle of a victory. Wow. You know, they had two options. They had to choose between two different things. And those two different things, the one was to look forward, to trust in the Lord, to trust in Moses, to trust that the Lord will provide for them, and to move on. The second one was to look back at how many armies the Egyptians had brought with them, many people, soldiers, and they would have been frightened and they would have been dead, literally dead, because their fear would have stopped them from seeing their victory. You're in the middle of a victory, man, and you don't even know it, what God is trying to tell you, man, because there's moments in our lives where everything seems to go alright. Certain things in our lives where we're living the best life. We don't see any problems, and there comes a point where we have to go to war to see if our minds change about God. And that circumstance, that problem that you're facing, God is wanting to let you know, are you still willing to worship me in those problems, in those circumstances, in those troubles, in those suffering, in those cryings like you used to do when nothing was wrong? Are you still willing to worship me, praise me, trust in me in those circumstances? Wanting to let you know if you're still willing to worship him in those moments where you feel like he's not there, in those moments of silence where nothing seems to happen every time you call out to him. Are you still willing to keep fighting for your victory? Are you still willing to trust in him, go move on forward, and not look back and be frightened by how big your situation, by how big your problem is? He's wanting to let you know, are you still willing to say, you know what, I'm gonna get up, I'm not gonna look back, and I'm gonna keep moving forward? He doesn't need you to know everything. Sometimes you just have to trust in him. Sometimes you just have to say, okay, you know what, I don't know why it keeps happening. I don't know why this cycle is not ending. I don't know why this problem, this addiction is not going away. I don't know, I don't understand why I'm still battling, struggling with sin of a sinful life. I don't understand why. God doesn't need you to understand the why. He just needs you to understand if you're willing to see a miracle in your life, if you're truly willing to say, you know what, God, I've had enough. This world has offered me so many things and it still didn't fill me up. Let me test it. Let me see what you're about. Let me see if you're truly the God you say you are, and give it up to him and see a miracle in your life. Anything stopping the Israelites from seeing how great God it was, how justice, how righteous, how powerful he was the Egyptians behind them. That was the only thing stopping them, because they had fear. They were like, we're gonna die. We should have stayed in the land of slavery. We should have stayed back then. We should have never listened. But then we can see where Moses was like, trust in the Lord, be still, he will fight for you. And I'm trying to tell you that he will fight for you. Just hang on there a little bit longer. Don't worry, just trust, worship him in those hard times. Just be steady for a little bit. Just be still. Me, that's powerful, man. Like, Exodus means the road out. In Greek, it means the road out, the way out, the path. And I want to let you know that God is the way out. God is the true path, the path to eternal life. He is the road out for your victory, day for salvation, man. You know, it's hard, I get it. A sinful life is hard, it's frustration. You're asking yourself, why am I still battling with this? Why am I still struggling with this? And trust me, man, I know how it feels. And you will get desperate and you will be like, why is this still happening to me? Why am I still fighting with addiction, with sex, with everything that this world has brought to me, and I don't want it no more? I'm here to let you know that you don't have to live like that no longer. You don't have to be enslaved to that situation, to that addiction. You don't have to be enslaved to that problem. Because when you learn how to worship, when you learn how to get back up every single time you sin, He is a God that provides. He's a God of many chances. When you learn how to get up and say, okay, maybe today I have fallen, but today is a new day for new beginnings, and I'm gonna get up, and I don't care how many battles, I don't care what I have to fight, I don't care what I have to go through, I don't care how many times I fall. I know I'm gonna get up, and I'm gonna see a victory on the other side. Even though the passage, the road seems long, just know that God promised us to walk in the desert and your frustration and your situation. He promised us He will be there every step of the way, because He knew that if He had given you the easy way out, you wouldn't understand what it means to be loved. You wouldn't understand what it means. You just wouldn't understand God's grace and why He allows certain things, because you will never learn the easy way, because you have to struggle, man. You have to struggle, you have to cry, you have to be frustrated, you have to go through certain circumstance to truly understand that God's ways are better. I want to see a victory. I want to see a miracle in my life. Just be honest with God. The times are hard. These times are hard. But it's our time to see a victory. God is telling you right now, give it all up to Him. Whatever that thing is hurting you, whatever that thing that is not letting you sleep, whatever there are so many thoughts that are keeping you up at night and you just don't find peace. Whenever you smoke and whenever you pop those pills, but those pills aren't helping you, they only help you temporary, and then it brings you back to reality and those problems and those circumstances and those frustrations. I challenge you right now to give the Lord a chance, because you are in the middle of a victory and you don't even know it. So what are you going to choose? Are you going to choose to get back up, to trust the Lord and move forward? Or will you look back at how great, how big your problem is and be enslaved to it? Because trust me, if you do that, there will be a point where you will have enough. A breaking point in your life where you will either have to choose death or God. Isaiah 43:2, the word says, when you pass through waters, I will be with you. When you pass through the rivers, they will not sweep over you. When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned. The flames will not set you ablaze. When you pass through the waters, when you pass through the suffering, when you pass through the trouble, the circumstance, the Lord literally said here, they will not sweep over you. They won't overtake you. Those problems won't overcome you, no matter how many times they make you seem like you're not worth it, like you're not enough. They will not overtake you, man. When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned, because God is with you. God is in your situation. God is in your problem, your trouble. He's allowed you to go through certain things to see that He's with you through it all. And at the end of it, you're going to see a great victory. You're going to see a great blessing over your life, over your family, because your obedience will define your future.